this building works your champion of justice, your public prosecutor, whose job it is to deal vengeance to the guilty and mercy to the oppressed. Come with us now as we look in on one of his daily dramas. Let's see the public prosecutor at work, waging his all-out war against crime. Routine to him, but a new and exciting experience for us. Shall we go in? These are three suspects brought here to play leading roles in our drama. Unwilling actors because one of them is believed to be guilty of murder. Willie Spencer, a small-time hoodlum who has appeared in many police lineups. Helen Ferris, hardened, cynical, typical of women who live just outside the law. And Mike Costello, a gangster capable of any crime. Representing the law is Detective Lieutenant Haver and the prosecutor's secretary, Patricia Kelly.
Oh, how do you do? The public prosecutor is waiting for you.
Just follow me.
Nice of you to come. Won't you sit down? You've seen this in the morning paper. Charlie Jackson was one of the best-liked young cops on the force. He was murdered in the line of duty. Each of the suspects in our custody, whom you saw in the outer office, not only had a motive, but was seen at or near the scene of the crime. As public prosecutor of this county, it's my sworn duty to see that his killer is brought to justice, to prove that an act such as this cannot be tolerated in a free society. I ask you to come down to witness the interrogation of the suspects in the case. Will you ask Lieutenant Haver to come in, please?
Right.
Now to get down to the case at hand. Lieutenant Haver and the homicide boys have been on this thing all night. So have I.
I think we've got a pretty good start on this thing, Chief. You've seen the photographs?
Yes, but I think our guest might be interested.
Oh. These are the official police photographs. Charlie Jackson was killed about 10:30 last night in an alley between the bank and the jewelry store on 10th Street. We may have caught somebody trying to rob either one of them. Cops don't usually go around with their gun in their hand unless they're onto something. The fellow who runs the cigar store in the bank building next to the alley told us that he heard 3 shots in rapid succession. Right after he heard the shots, he saw a black sedan roar past. Just as he was calling the police, a young woman walked hurriedly past his stand. Her general description seems to tally with that of one of our suspects, Helen Ferris.
We got there in a squad car 10 minutes later. Charlie was shot through the heart, went in front, and came out the back. We haven't found the bullets yet, but we did find the gun, .45 automatic. It was in a garbage can about a block away.
There were fingerprints on it. We're tracing them now.
Without the bullets, it'll be hard to prove that this was the gun that did it. Well, we might as well get on with our questioning, Lieutenant. Who's our first customer?
We picked Willie Spencer up on general principles. The traffic cop saw him on a corner near the scene of the shooting about 10 minutes before Charlie was shot. Willie's got a record as long as...
I know. The last time Willie was sent up the river, Charlie Jackson arrested him. Willie claimed that Charlie beat him up before he brought him in. But there's evidence that Willie pulled a gun and Charlie had to take it away from him.
Yes, sir?
Send Willie Spencer in.
You want to see me?
Now, what makes you think that?
I don't know. The cops,
Sit down.
Willie, we want to know what you were doing last night about 10:30.
10:30? Oh, I was taking a walk. I like to walk, you know.
Where did you walk, Willie?
Look, fellas, I ain't dumb, see? I know what you're trying to do. You're trying to find out if I had anything to do with bumping off Charlie Jackson. Well, I didn't, see?
You didn't like Charlie.
All right, but I didn't kill him. I was taking a walk down 10th Street. And I can't help it if that was where Charlie was killed. It was about 10:30. I was just crossing the alley when I heard 3 shots. I knew something was wrong, so I beat it.
What was your hurry?
Are you kidding? I knew if there was any trouble, the cops would try to pin it on me.
Where did you run, Willie?
Well, down 10th Street to the bus line and then home.
That's where we picked him up, Chief.
All right, Willie. We'll call for you again later. Just don't go away.
Oh, no, you know me, Mr. Allen.
Yes, Mr. Allen.
Send in Miss Ferris.
Right away.
All right, Willie. Outside.
Miss Ferris, won't you sit down? Cigarette?
Cut the smart talk. What do you want?
You're not very friendly.
You know what I think of you and all of the cops.
Miss Ferris, I'm aware that you don't like us. I know also that you resent the fact that I was forced to send your brother to the penitentiary for 30 years.
You railroaded him and you know it.
I know you think so. I know also that it isn't true.
You'd never convicted him if it hadn't been for that cop's phony testimony. He got what was coming to him last night, and I'm glad of it. I'm only sorry I didn't do it.
You sure you didn't?
Sure, I'm sure. You think I'm crazy? You sent my brother up for 30 years for doing nothing. What would I get for a murder rap? Don't be funny.
Just what were you doing at 10:30 last night?
I was in a movie.
I see. Very convenient. Of what movie?
Love on a Bus. Isn't that funny? A gal meets a guy on a bus. The bus breaks down, they fall in love. Her...
You seem to have memorized the plot.
It wasn't hard. I've got the ticket stub to prove it. You can check on it.
Of course, you could have left the theater. In fact, we have reason to believe that you were in the vicinity of the crime when Jackson was killed.
That's a lie.
Maybe.
Why, you...
You're in a bad spot, Miss Ferris. You made a statement at your brother's trial about getting even with Jackson. It's in the court records. You have a motive which might explain Jackson's murder. In fact, you're the only one of the 3 suspects who does have a known motive. You see?
Okay, so I was in the neighborhood. To keep a date.
With whom?
Simon McGowan. When he showed up, he told me he'd broken parole and that the cops were looking for him. He needed $100 to get out of town. The guy must have been crazy, walking around the streets and the coppers looking for him. He said that any cop that ran into him was going to run into trouble. He was carrying a rod. I knew then what he meant by trouble. Then he asked me for the dough. $18 was all I had, but he figured it ought to be more. Then all of a sudden I saw a cop. It was Charlie Jackson. I guess the sight of a cop sort of took the stuff out of Simon. I saw Jackson had turned into the alley behind the jewelry store on 10th Street. As soon as the coast was clear, Simon beat it. Then I heard 3 shots. I don't know where they came from, but I wasn't going to stick around to see.
Especially when you were carrying a gun, huh? What kind of gun was it?
A .45 automatic. I stacked it away at home.
Ava, bring Mike Costello in. Well, you can go, Miss Ferris. But not too far.
I want to know. Now, listen, what's the big...
We'll ask the questions. First thing we want to know is where you picked up that stolen black sedan, and why.
Oh, you know all about that, huh?
Sure we do. We just want to hear it from you, and no lies.
Okay. I stole it in front of a bar on 10th Street. Some jerk left his keys in it, and I drove it down the street, and the bulls picked me up with no taillight. And that's all you got on me is a hot car.
You didn't see Charlie Jackson?
No.
The car was seen at 10th and Adams shortly after Jackson was shot.
So what? I told you I picked it up in front of a bar on 10th and drove it down the street.
You know Willie Spencer?
Sure. Well, I just seen him outside.
You and Willie weren't by any chance in on a job together.
That stool pigeon, do you think I'm nuts? Say, I wouldn't trust him. He'd sell me out in a minute. And besides, I'm going straight.
Yeah, in a hot car. All right, thank you. Take Costello out, Lieutenant, and bring Spencer back in. I've just had information about the fingerprints that were found on the gun. Willie, we found a gun in a garbage can less than a block from where Charlie Jackson was killed. What do you know about it?
Nothing, Mr. Allen.
The prints on this gun, Willie, are yours.
Well, a guy can have his gun stole, can he?
Was your gun stolen, Willie?
Well, okay, I'm going to shoot square with you, Mr. Allen. Because I didn't do it, see? But if I don't tell you the truth, you might try to pin it on me.
All right, Willie. Get going.
Well, Mike Costello and I and another guy had a job planned. We were going to knock off the jewelry store. The other guy was a kid from out of town. He was going to make a hole in the joint near the end of the alley. Mike was going to pick up a car and wait for us at the corner. Well, my job was to hang around the entrance to the alley and keep a lookout. If I saw anything suspicious, I was to fire 2 shots in the air real quick-like. Both Mike and the kid would hear it and then scram. Then I was to ditch the rod and beat it.
Charlie Jackson came into the alley to investigate, and you killed him.
No, I didn't. I swear I didn't, Mr. Allen. Charlie Jackson turned into the alley all right, but he didn't even see me. I fired 2 shots in the air real fast like it.
Shots? The cigar store man heard 3.
Yeah, I know. Right after I fired twice, I heard another shot. That really scared me because I was using blanks.
What?
Yeah, blanks. Since that last time, Mr. Allen, I don't trust myself. I'm afraid somebody will get hurt, so I loaded the gun with blanks just so I wouldn't go off my nut. I put 2 shells in it.
What kind of a gun was it, Willie?
45 automatic. You found it.
This it?
Looks like it.
Oh, it's yours, all right. It's got your prints on it.
I can give you the name of the store where I bought the blanks. They'll remember it.
Maybe you can also tell us who fired the 3rd shot.
Well,
All right, Willie, we'll look into it. I'm sure you won't mind waiting while we check. Lieutenant, have all 3 of these people back in my office in 5 minutes. In the meantime, I'd like a few words with our guest. You've heard the stories of the 3 suspects in this case. Perhaps you know which one of them, if any, killed Charlie Jackson. I think I do. One of our suspects made an obvious slip. A slip that may lead to the electric chair. I'll be back in a few minutes with my solution. And in the meantime... I think we can just about sum up this case here and now. We've heard the stories of the suspects, and they have given us some of the facts. Others we have learned from the homicide department. But the one slip, which we needed to crack this case, came in the testimony of one of you 3. Let me sum it up for you. 2 of the people in this room conspired with a 3rd to do a bit of burglary. Mike Costello was one of those people. Willie Spencer was the other. Another person in this room, Miss Ferris, was at or near the scene when the murder was committed. Here's what happened. Mike Costello stole a car and parked it about a block away from the alley. The other person went to work on the back of the jewelry store. Willie Spencer entered the alley about 10:30. He was the lookout man. The light in the alleyway was dim. Charlie Jackson came along. He had a good nose for trouble. He turned into the alleyway just on general principles. He must have seen something which made him suspicious. At the other end of the alley was Willie Spencer, trying to keep out of sight. The light struck him. He fired blindly 3 times, real fast. There was no one else shooting. One of those shots caught Charlie Jackson right through the heart.
No, they were blanks, I told you.
No, Willie, they weren't blanks. You forgot one thing when you manufactured that story. You can't fire blank cartridges rapidly in an automatic. A blank cartridge won't operate the recoil mechanism. You can fire the first, but not the second. Look, I'll show you. There, Willie. That's what's going to send you to the electric chair. And so, friends, once again, we see that just retribution invariably comes to those who try to live outside the law. It's been nice having you with us, and you're invited to be my guest again when the next case is brought before your public prosecutor.